Amarius Mims has committed to the University of Georgia. We got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, we need to talk about 6'7", 315-pound behemoth Amarius Mims deciding to commit to Georgia. This is what we had suspected was going to happen over the course of the summer, but he gave Georgia fans a fright when he pushed his commitment date back by 2 months, back in August. But going into this all-important game where Georgia's traveling to Tuscaloosa and taking on the number 2 team in the country while also trying to solidify itself as a college football playoff team, you can see how this recruiting class is already starting to charge up the rankings, and Kirby Smart continues to win in Georgia, an all-important offensive line recruit, as Kirby Smart loves to run the football and run the football well, and one of the ways that he's been able to do that is by recruiting some of the best offensive linemen in his region, let alone the country. This also is a tremendous win for Georgia in light of Sam Pittman leaving the program just like 8 months ago, right? Doing a great job over at Arkansas, and I'm really excited about what Sam Pittman is doing at Arkansas. But I had some thoughts about what it was going to look like, new offensive line coach, even with a new offensive coordinator, and whether or not they would be able to do what they have been doing, which is win 2 out of the last 3 recruiting national championships. This is also a university that was able to let a guy like Zach Evans go and not miss him. While there have been some complaints about Zamir White and his vision, he's still one of the best tailbacks in the country. Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton also are really great. And then there's James Cook, of course, with Dejan Edwards just in the stable, getting ready for his shot. Now, adding Amarius Mims to this already loaded recruiting class vaults them up ahead of where they were at number 14, which is not where we're used to seeing a Georgia football program recruiting at. But you also have to take into account the boat for them is still filling. And when you look at it, you also see guys that, say, Oklahoma wanted, particularly at quarterback in Brock Vandagriff. Now, Vandagriff is going to join what I think is a loaded quarterback room as well, with, we know Stetson Bennett already having the starting position with JT Daniels right there. We'll see what happens with Dwan Mathis and Carson Beck, but Vandagriff is going there with the expectation that he's going to compete for the job. And with Todd Monken as the offensive coordinator, I expect him to have that opportunity. The thing I think gets lost about Todd Monken is that when he was coaching in the NFL, when he's the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, they were an outstanding running football team with guys like Nick Chubb in the backfield. And he was doing that with some offensive linemen that weren't necessarily great. Now we're getting to see what it looks like with Todd Monken back in college with one of the best offensive lines in football. And I got to tell you, it's been inspiring to see, because with that defense that they have, where they only give up 14 points against Tennessee, and they can be counted on to go get you points, you're going to want to be able to line it up and just go at people, and you're going to want to continue to put first-round talent into the draft. They got Andrew Thomas is already starting at left tackle for the New York Giants, and on it goes, right? So hats off to Kirby, or I should say visor off to Kirby Smart in being able to secure such an outstanding commit in the likes of a 6'7", 315-pound offensive lineman. But also, this is after losing Terrence Ferguson, who is a Georgia native, to Alabama, and it means that you also keep another guy out of Alabama's coffers, and more to the point, out of Georgia's coffers, out of LSU's coffers, and out of Auburn or even even Texas A&M's coffers. So, in thinking about what Amarius Mims can do, obviously he's going to play a tackle position, but he can down block I don't cuss on the show, so I'm going to have to back up just a little bit because I'm getting excited. But I do want to get to his evaluation provided by Charles Power. Possesses an elite combination of size and length for an offensive tackle, has rare length by way of long arms and big hands, along with a sturdy build with room to add some muscle to his frame. On the hoof, looks as good as you could hope for at this stage for an offensive tackle prospect. Already is over 300 pounds without much bad weight. Shows his athletic ability while playing both ways at offensive tackle and defensive end. Moves well at the second level, used his quick feet and his length to get his hands on linebackers, shows good flexibility and bends at the knees, has some pop in his hands, and easily plants opposing defensive linemen on contact. Will need to continue to get stronger and refining his pass set technique. Looks to have a very high upside early on and should develop into a top national prospect. Has the ultimate upside of developing into a multi-year starter at the Power 5 level and eventual high NFL draft pick. Mims named a top 10 that included Oregon, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida, Clemson, Florida State, Oklahoma, and Auburn in April. He narrowed that list to Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, Georgia, and Tennessee. And since August, it's really just been about Tennessee, Auburn, and of course, Georgia, for which he made the pick. Matt Luke continuing to show that he can actually coach at this offensive line level and he can recruit at it. So I'm really excited to see what they look like here in a couple of years, because I had Georgia pegged as the kind of football program that has to win this year and the following year, right? They're set up to do it. They're set up to get over the hump that is winning the SEC championship game and giving themselves an opportunity to face a number 4 or number 3 team in the college football playoff before they might actually have to face another top SEC opponent like Alabama in 2017. And you got to remember, they had a lead in that game in the national championship. You also need to remember that they forced Jalen Hurts out of the starting quarterback position. Brought in Tua Tagovailoa. He ends up being one of the better quarterbacks anybody's ever seen. And that's just a bad break for you. But it's also a football team that I wanted to see modernize the offense, because being able to throw the ball all over the yard and put up 45 is what you're going to have to do to be able to win national championships. You can't just play murder ball like it's 2009 anymore. You have to be able to run air raid concepts. You have to be able to run spread concepts. You have to be able to trust your pass catchers to make those plays. Guys like Kearis Jackson, Demetrius Robinson, who are stepping up alongside guys like George Pickens. So I think that this year they could do it, right? I would not be shocked to see Georgia there at the end along with Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama. I think that's basically how we're going to have to draw it up now, especially with LSU and Florida having their game postponed until December. We'll see if they're able to get that one in. But that game meant more for Florida than it did for LSU, as LSU is just trying to right itself after taking a loss to Missouri that they probably never should have had, and then suffering a loss to Mississippi State as well. Florida, suffering the loss to Texas A&M, need to be able to show that they are a good football team and have enough wins to qualify for the SEC championship game, let alone what they do in their division, right? So I think for them, they need to get themselves healthy. They need to get back to being able to play football, because the world's largest cocktail party is even more pivotal for them this year, especially as they're continuing to try to keep the guys in the boat that they were able to land in the boat. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.